I'd like to recognize a new member of the committee and subcommittee who served on school boards in Florida. Mr. Curbelo, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity to discuss what is a topic that is increasingly on the minds of parents and students and teachers. I wanted to delve further into the issue with penalties related to FERPA violations. Mr. Riedenberg mentioned that we should perhaps consider developing a graduated penalty system. Could you go further into that, expound? What would something like that look like, and how could it be most effective?
Thank you. I think when I referenced graduated penalties, what I have in mind are a range of levels of fine depending on egregiousness of violations. So you would not want to see a school, a district, or a state subject to crippling penalties for what are small technical violations. On the other hand, we need to have some mechanism to assure that FERPA is in fact effectively enforced in local schools across the country. I think so. So on the one hand, those are the publicly assessed fines. I think it's important that families have an ability to get redress if their information is compromised and their students' privacy rights are violated and they're harmed. Right now, we have no mechanism for that in FERPA. It's one of the few areas in American privacy law where we have no way of addressing redress.
Now, I also heard a conversation about expanding FERPA to cover third-party vendors.
Yes.
For example, how would those groups be penalized? Same way?
Same way. Same way. If FERPA is authorizing use for a defined educational purpose, and the third-party vendor does something else being using it for advertising purposes, using it to profile a student to skew search results or to deliver content that's unrelated to the educational purpose for which the data was gathered. In an instance like that, the third-party vendor should be subject to a fine.
And a question for Ms. Severe. It's obvious that these types of breaches occur every day. Obviously, most of them do not rise to the level where they would get attention from the media, but how much do parents know about these breaches? Do you get the sense that schools are open and transparent about data breaches, or is there a lot that parents and even we don't even know?
That's an interesting question, and I think that there are layers of misunderstanding depending on how involved the parent is in the landscape. But I also think that the reason that question is most interesting is because the way that the law is written right now, there's release of information that's not considered a breach. Does that make sense? And I think that's really the focus of revising FERPA and kind of shoring up those areas, really looking at the digital information that's being collected and stored, informing parents not just how it's being collected and stored and who's using it, but how it's legitimately being applied within the school, and then allowing them to review that. And I would say that dialogue at that level is not happening, but that we are taking first steps with partners like Microsoft to get information out to parents so that they play more of an active role in shaping policy, at least at the district level.
Thank you, Ms. Knox. I think you wanted to weigh in.
Just in terms of the confusion that parents may find, we hosted last month, or in December, approximately 30 state PTA leaders in our office, and we conducted a 2-day training on student privacy, everything from personalized learning to what is cloud computing to, what's data-driven instruction. But one of the most interesting moments, I think, for all of us was none of the adults had actually experienced personalized learning. And so they had never, those were words and terms. And so once they felt the power of, oh my gosh, I get to move on quicker based on the data because I'm actually learning quicker than this person, but this person might come and help me. They got really excited once they experienced it, but then they also thought, where's all this data going? And then breaking down the cloud and how that works. And it was just a fascinating, I don't know if you want to mention, or comment, but it was good.
Please.
It was fascinating, and it enabled our state leaders to go back to their states and kind of mimic that same behavior with their constituents. So they were informed advocates around the issue, and it decreased the amount of hyperbole. And I think it makes us better decision makers.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My time has expired.